Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a very warm welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod for one last time this season. I'm Johnny Hammond, and as ever, alongside it's Rachel Burford. How are you, Long John Silver? Are you well?
Yeah, just about. Not bad, thanks, Johnny. How about you?
Yeah, we're good. I always hobble around, but how is hobbling around for you?
Do you know what? It's got a little bit easier. I went to see the knee specialist last week and he was like, get rid of your crutches. I need you mobile before your operation. So got rid of those. But yeah, it's just been managing it, getting it in a good place, ready for surgery tomorrow.
Surgery tomorrow. Okay, good stuff. And has your mind been able to, obviously that's, a big point tomorrow to get through and what have you. Has your mind turned to next season at all and thoughts whether when you might be getting back or when you might be playing again, or thoughts just on a here and now for now?
Yeah, I think naturally when you have an operation or when you get an injury, the first question that any player says was, how long till I'm back? So that was kind of probably my first questions. And, I've got a really good chance of getting back not too long after the start of the season. And yeah, so I'm in a relatively okay place at the moment. I think post-surgery I'll probably be a little bit sadder, but yeah, no, I've got really good care. Like the support staff at Harlequins are really looking after me already, and we've got a plan in place. And I think that's the main thing to get your head around it, is when you don't know what it is and you don't know the plan, you don't know the steps, then it's really difficult to have a mindset to go, do you know what? Right, I know what it is. Now let's crack on. And there's a few other girls in rehab club as well at the club, so we're going to have a pretty good time there together. But yeah, I mean, it is really sad and disappointing, but it is what it is, and you just got to crack on and hopefully, I'll come out the other side of it stronger, fitter, and ready to crack on.
Awesome, positive as ever. So, I mean, we're not going to hold you to it, but we will see Rachel Burford in the quarters next season. I think that's great news for lots and lots of people outside of Saracens. So, well done, you. Good, positive mindset, and yeah, all the very best. I'm sure all of our listeners and viewers and everyone out wishes you all the very, very best for tomorrow. Same surgeries you've had before?
Well, I've done well to avoid Andy Williams. For the first time I saw him was in 2008. So I've done pretty well to avoid him till then. But yeah, he's like the rugby guru. Like literally I won't say who, but I came out of his consultant room and there was like two other male rugby players waiting to go in and see him. So he's the absolute boss. And yeah, I'm really pleased that I've got him doing the surgery.
Great stuff. I thought Andy Williams was a singer, but you've been fine.
Maybe he does that too. Perhaps maybe he sings in theatre.
Hey, yeah, why just singing away while chopping away and putting bits and pieces in together? No, all the very, very best. Anyway, on to today's show. We're just going to wrap up the season, really. Just highlight a few talking points, a few of the guests that we've really, really enjoyed. Just have a look back at what has been a tumultuous season, really, for lots of different reasons, and has ended on a personal note for you, but in a bittersweet ending, hasn't it? But it's been interesting, of course, with the global pandemic. But let's put that aside. There's plenty of chat, plenty of airtime, plenty of column inches on that. Let's just focus on the rugby, and women's rugby has been certainly in England has been very, very privileged. And with the Six Nations and stuff as well, and some sevens coming back at the weekend. Very privileged to carry on playing. How's the season? Let's talk about the season on field for now. How have you seen the season as a whole, Bert?
Well, I think all the players and teams and management have really adapted so well this year with all the changes and the COVID situation. Like, it's not been easy. It's like tripled the amount of work people have had to do. And I think the way that the league has panned out and how competitive it was still with all of that going on, I think it's been a really impressive season. And we talk about resources, like we do have a lot, but we also don't have that much. And for us to be able to have continued the league and have very little COVID situations or, things that may have rose from that. I think it's been incredible. And then the demonstration of the actual rugby has been amazing. I think, Wasps have blown people away this year. Exeter have, South Sharks as well, new on the scene, pushing for games in the first half. And I think, Saracens and Harlequins, who have always been seen top of the tree, they've had upsets. They've had, games and results not go their way. I think we've seen Darlington get that final win finally after a really tough season for them. And I just think, generally the display of rugby has been outstanding. Whatever round it was, there was a story or there was a player. And I think that has been incredible for the growth of it. And I keep going back to it, but during this time, that time of COVID, we're playing different adapted laws. We've had to be in bubbles. We haven't been able to socialise and connect like that as a team. And I think how we've demonstrated and gone about our business has been absolutely first class from all the teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. And I'll chuck in a word bravery there, because the height of this thing, and we're still around the world. It's still very, very present, and who knows how long it'll be present for. But bravery for you guys to mix into those situations, not just sort of do your day-to-day work and what have you, but to put yourselves out there and to do that. Lots of people wouldn't. And I'm just looking at my sheet over here. I think it's only about 4 or 5 games that had to be postponed, and there wasn't even testing. And yet in the men's game, Beaumont games. Postponed and rearranged and results made, and lots more cases. So, and they had full testing of you. So, absolute testament to everybody behind the scenes. Huge amounts of planning, as you say, an organisation. So, huge credit to everyone behind the scenes. That has been amazing. But as you say, on the field, it's just been another step up again for me. The quality, and as you say, it's by Christmas or sort of November, Harlequin Saracens are cut adrift and away we go. The last couple of seasons, it's just not been the case. And as you say, the likes of Sale, incredibly dogged. They're only going to continue to grow. Exeter, my team of the season, have been absolutely outstanding, and for me, it shows those clubs, and I think Worcester will come again this season. I think they've been incredibly unlucky with injuries, but I think those clubs that it's fully immersed. There is no difference between the men and the women, and whether it's livery or playing at the same ground or social media, whatever it is, those clubs that are fully immersed, their women's program are the clubs that seem to be doing better than those that aren't. And that's, make your own conclusions. But no, I think it's been an outstanding season on the field. As you say, we're going to talk about a few bits and pieces today. Some of our good guests, Burf. I mean, we've had 38 shows this series.
Where do you start?
Feels like 380. No, 38 episodes. Nearing 60 guests. We've had MBEs, we've had sirs, we've had gods, we've had goddesses. Anyone particularly jump out at you? So I'm going to jump in first, actually, because actually we look forward. No, that's really rude, isn't it? I'm not being gentlemanly. Ladies first, please.
No, I'll let you go. Go on. You're desperate to, so go on. I'm interested to know.
I'm just jumping forward to next year and World Cup and what have you. And one of the highlights of one of our episodes was with Alison Hughes, who's grand fromage of the women's game for World Rugby and the World Cup, of course, which is postponed to next year. And it's something that she said in one of our chats with her that just really blew me away, and thought, wow, I've come against so much of the opposite of what she's talking about, but it was so refreshing at the highest level to hear what she said. Now, I'll stop babbling and let's just hear from Alison.
A real engagement and a real desire from everybody who was working in the women's 15 space and the women's space in total, really, to do something creative. And really some of the egos were left outside the door. A lot of people, you know, who came particularly to a meeting we had in Hong Kong in May of 2019. I have to think about that. We certainly weren't there in 2020, but in 2019. And a lot of conversations started with, that won't suit our team, but it's better for the game. A lot of conversations over 2 days started like that. And it was a privilege really to sit in that room and listen to those men and women talk about how they really wanted to improve the lot of women's players and were prepared to do pretty much whatever it took to make that happen.
Great to hear, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I think it's really good that, you know, women's fans hear that, because, you know, things like that it's great that it's happening at the top, but it also needs to filter down and happen in grassroots and happen in domestic club rugby around the world. If they can hear that those discussions and those collaborations of unions working together in order to grow the game and push it forward, then hopefully, you know, that can also trickle down into, like I said, like grassroots, into domestic, and hopefully get heads together to realise, you know, how do we move this forward? Well, actually, if we work together and we don't just think of our own agenda, we think of the bigger agenda, then that's such a great message.
Yeah, men's, perhaps it's to do with professionals or whatever, but I see the trials and tribulations in the men's game, and you know, a lot of it is because it's our own point of view. Take the Premiership clubs and the Lions, and an agreement has been made and what have you now. But I'm sure a lot of money's changed hands and what have you, player release and that kind of stuff. The women's game just simply isn't there, and we've said it before. Is it? It's embryonic, if we're honest, in terms of its development and where the game is. Real chance to build solid foundations, and it's going to take a lot more of that. Stop viewing here and widen out the view to what's best for the game. And it'd be great if everyone had that view that Alison was talking about there a little bit more, because it's going to help grow the game. It needs all the help it can get so far, but there were some real positive signs, weren't there, this season? I think let's touch on the Six Nations.
Yeah, I mean, so much positivity. And actually, that's probably one of my favourite chats where we had with Sarah and with Ali from Scrum Queens. I just think, just having that kind of chatting about generally, but then also picking our team of the tournament was pretty good fun.
So many articles. I started I couldn't even consider doing the fantasy team. That would just stress me out altogether.
Oh my God, I can't believe you didn't do that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. But I've never seen so much coverage, and not just, amongst the usual suspects. You always get decent coverage, say from the Irish Times, from the Telegraph, BBC during the tournaments. This was everywhere and in every country, and that felt really game-changing to me.
I think perhaps also touching on what you talked about originally there, Johnny, about the good and the bad. I am not going to name names in this example, but it did expose where some unions are lacking when it comes into the resources that are needed in their women's programs. And I don't necessarily just mean on the field. It was very apparent the unions who were behind in not recognising that there was no men's international rugby in this window. They had a real opportunity to exploit it. And there were perhaps one or two unions who didn't take that and are perhaps maybe looking at this now and going, we really missed out here. We've got to raise our game, or at least that's what we hope.
I still can't believe Ali didn't do the fantasy league.
No. Her mind is, probably the most qualified person probably on the planet to do it. I have to say, I love spending time in Ali's company, and Sarah as well, two ladies who constantly give to the women's game for the greater good, and not their own personal gain. And there aren't many of those. So, it's magic to have them on. And I think we chose a pretty decent side as well. It was all right.
Was it very decent? I remember we had Poppy at 8 and she was our captain, wasn't she? Leanne at 9. We didn't have any England backs, did we? Remember at the end of that, we were like, right, so England had just won, but
no,
even Skaz didn't make it. That's unheard of. She won't be happy with you.
She's far too busy. Tell you what I loved about the Six Nations as well was the return of the French. And I don't mean the return of the French, but there was a return of the steel. And I know they lost to England. Yeah, who knows if the lights had stayed on, what would have happened there? But there was just a difference to them. I don't know. The same with the men's side as well. But there was just that opening game against Wales. They were just utterly relentless, and their defence was outstanding. And it's not always the case. And it wasn't a question of score 3 tries and then sit back and have a guitar and a little pastis and let the rest of the game sort of flow over them. They were properly on it, and that can only be a really, really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love playing against France and love it when they turn up like that, because it just becomes this incredible battle and spectacle for those who are watching as well. And I really liked that how, they played England in that autumn game and they were outstanding and lost at the death. It was always going to be then questionable, because you always get this like really poor performance, great performance, poor, and you never get consistent with them. And to see them have that consistency through the Six Nations, obviously they're starting to get things right over there, keeping that consistency together. So yeah, it was great to see them. I think it questioned England a lot, the Six Nations, but I think it also highlighted some of the lack of investment in some unions as well, and how Wales are now doing a full review on the women's programme and of the Six Nations. And I think, it highlighted a lot of great things, but it also highlighted a lot of areas that need more growth and need more work as well.
But if that's how it has to be identified, and the fallout is the fact that the Wales are now doing a proper assessment. They've said they will leave no stone unturned and make difficult decisions if they need to. It's just not been right, has it? Roland Phillips and all the shroud of mystery around that, and then we get Rachel Taylor and the shroud of mystery around that. Yeah, hearing lots and lots of stories which aren't for broadcast, but bizarre situations. But if the fallout is that Wales and the WRU do properly invest in the women's programme, then that's a good thing. And if they need to be, I won't say publicly humiliated, but and it's very difficult for the girls. You think Sharon Lillycrap and players like this just put absolutely everything into it, but it's almost like going into the ring with Mike Tyson with your arms behind your back, isn't it? It's just not fair. And if that highlights change and positive change, then I say you take the hit, don't you?
Yeah, no, I think Wales have gone, do you know what? Something's not right and we need to do something about it. And I think to swallow that pride and to step out there and go, right, we're going to do a full review on this and we'll have answers moving forward. I think it has to be seen as a positive, for the players. They will be disappointed with the results on the pitch, but if it then amounts to something better for the future, then no player from Wales went out there and didn't play with their heart and leave everything out there. They don't turn up to be beaten. They don't turn up to just allow opposition to play. They go out there and they try their absolute best, and they want to win, and they're proud to be in their shirt and represent their family and their country. So irrelevant of what the result is, players will play for and do everything for their jersey. And I think now, and you can see that, you can see the desperation and the heart that they play with. And now the union are going, do you know what? We need to match that now. We need to support how our players play, and we need to give them greater opportunity to be more competitive. So I think, as much as the players will feel hard done by or will feel, I don't think that they feel humiliated, because like I said, they went out there and they give it their all and they didn't roll over. But, it's hard to take those results. But I think, if something comes out the back of it, which it will, I think there's too much coverage. There's too many people talking about you, like you said, those mystery things, for it to just go away. And they've got good people involved there that just kind of need to get it all going in the same direction and everyone on the same page.
Yep. 100%. Ireland worries me. Unbelievable talent there, but I think they're squeezing every drop out of that talent without proper structural support above them, and there's no noise. You know, we've heard from chief exec WRU about the contracts and money being involved in the Welsh players and trying to get Welsh players back to their own club game, because they've all just, you know, filtrated into the Premier 15s, haven't they? But yeah, Ireland does worry me somewhat, and they're using the Sevens program a little bit to bring players through. But yeah, we will wait to see.
Lost a couple of players. You know, Hannah Tyrrell, who was outstanding just in this Six Nations, won player of the game, and now she's retired. And you know, that's due to, is that due to, I mean, I don't know personally, but is that a physical thing? Absolutely not, by the way that she played. So, you know, losing players from the game is the other thing that's happening, because, as you say, the demand is too much on them to be able to commit to it how they want to.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know the reasons for Jay Crocker going to do the fighting, but as it stands, you've got to know what you're going to do post-career at the moment, and you've got to know what you're going to do in between playing games of rugby to earn money. And it was something that was massively highlighted, wasn't it, by Chelsea Alley, the Blackburn World Cup winner. We had Chelsea on, it was January time, was it? Something like that. After she, you know, very, very classily, it was I don't know, a couple of months ago, wasn't it, May or something? In a really, really classy way, just factually put out there the trials and tribulations that professional players are just expected to have to do. They're trying to be professional, but anything but in terms of what they have to go through on a daily basis.
There's a lot of hype around that Super Rugby game, and there was a lot of excitement. Myself personally, I did a lot of kind of media and obviously felt a lot of excitement myself to be playing in that game. And then on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and the rest of the following week, there was a real kind of low point, I guess, after being on such a high. And for that low point for me, it's just going back to a normal day life, really, which consists of getting up super early in the morning to train so that I can then go to my other job, which is a normal job. I teach for a living as well. Going there all day and then coming home again, having a quick feed, and then going to another training. And yeah, I got in a bit of a hole on Tuesday, I guess. And I just kind of thought to myself, why am I still so stressed about doing all of these types of things? Why am I still fitting in 3 different jobs and rushing to physio in between my lunch break and having to do lots of meal prep on a Sunday so that coming home dark every night, I've got, you know, a healthy dinner to eat. I've been in the Black Ferns team for 10 years now, which is a long time. And I know a lot of people around me and a lot of people just out in public think that we probably get a lot different to what we do get in reality. I mean, the fact that I do work 3 jobs and a lot of the other girls in the team work a lot of jobs too, just to survive really is just, I guess, the real representation of us in real life. Semi-professional is a really interesting word, I think, because the expectation is that you are professional. You train the amount of hours as a professional trains. You perform on the same level as a professional performs. And especially here in New Zealand, because we are a rugby nation, if you are in a black jersey getting to represent New Zealand in rugby, you must train, perform, breathe, eat, live like a professional. But then the semi part of that is the part that makes it so hard, because you're not full-time professional enough to be able to just put all your eggs in that basket. You've got to have other things to do just to survive, really. So that's where this semi-professional thing is just, it does become almost unsustainable over a long period of time.
Yeah, I just think it's quite hard hitting, isn't it? Especially when I think the rest of the world look in and think, you know, New Zealand have got it all, it's all worked out, and the same with England and France, because they've got this professional status next to their name. But yet the reality is that some players still have to find other work. You know, Chelsea doing 3 different jobs in order to be able to commit to the game. It's hard, and it's not. And I want this message to be right, because no player does it just for the money, but the money makes it easier, right? And it makes it you to be able to commit to it properly. And I've been in a position where, I haven't been able to just survive on the money when I was a professional player, and I've had to find other work, and I've had to keep my kind of connections with people over the years to make sure that I have options when I finish playing, because it's not even a career where it's sustainable to save money and to be able to even put a deposit for a mortgage and things like that. So players sacrifice a hell of a lot, even when they're professional status. And I think it's obviously disappointing to hear that from Chelsea, but I think it's also like we need to hear the realities of it as well.
It's a wake up call. Yeah, we've spoken about the positivity, haven't we, of play on the field. I think generally in the world, just women flooding into the game, whether it be in Syria, Iran, Uganda, England, Wales, Scotland, wherever. It's one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing team sport in the world. But there is still a huge amount to do. And when you look across other sports, which of course we must do, the broadcast kind of deals with the women's football at the moment. Across 2 broadcasters fighting it out to get the rights to that. You look at the tennis and equal prize money, this kind of stuff. The netball's going from strength to strength around the world. The men's players, autumn internationals, Pablo Dogu got £17,000 a game to not play in an autumn series every game, and I would really love to know, and I genuinely don't know what an England player is paid for a yearly contract to when they're announced in the England squad. And I suspect it'll probably be a one, if not a couple of games. That's it. But the disparity is huge, and you can make the commercial argument all you like, but it's just not morally right. So money doesn't come into it. Still a lot to do.
Hello, you lovely people. I'm Shauna Brown, and you're listening to Women's Rugby Pod.
But let's turn it back to the positives then, Burf. Who have been your other favourite guests? I mean, virtually 60 of them. Aaron was a favourite, wasn't she, last week? Come on.
Yeah, no, of course she was. And obviously the pod naturally getting to talk about winning the Allianz Premier 15 was amazing to be able to do and not sit on the fence of the other side this year round.
And you got emotional.
Yeah. Well, she would. I mean, she's been there. Oh, yeah, and me, yeah.
We almost got tears. Almost.
Yeah, well, you took me back to that moment of realising that we'd done it, and it'd been a long time coming. So yeah, let's go there again. I loved having Bird on, Lisa Burgess. She's awesome. She just speaks so well and from the heart, and has this like ultimate desire. And it's incredible how she's, vice president on the WRU board now. So she was one of my favourites. I mean, we've literally had ridiculous amount. I mean, we should mention Katie Dane-McLean, but I mean,
MBE, come on.
Oh yeah, MBE. Forgot about that bit. Yeah, I mean, remember me and Lottie having that discussion back at Christmas time, talking about game against each other and stuff. I might watch that one back actually, see what she was saying. But yeah, like Sue Day, having her on. I think Alana Thomas, like hearing from the other side of the world. I mean, it's just ridiculously jam-packed, isn't it?
Yeah, Boppy and Pops.
Pops and Bops, yeah, whatever they want to call themselves.
You're welcome. You can have that one. Poppy and Pops. They were in a car, weren't they, on the way to England Trade? That was obviously a fun chat. I'd like to hear from Amy Turner. Shone on a couple of times a week. Alicia,
Brian Moore, do you remember him? He went on a good old rant, didn't he?
Wow. It was a long pod, that one. Again, those having, what a compliment. And, we don't often sort of waft a bit of smoke our way in certain directions. But, end of a season, I think we're at liberty to do that, to attract or for people to be happy enough, whether it be Alison Hughes or Mel Robinson, huge figure in the women's game. Whether it be Katie Day-McLean, Emily Scout, Rocky Clark, no doubt we're missing lots and lots of people here. But to have those kind of people, to have Sibylle Beaumont on, the fact that he's happy to come on our little podcast that started in a garage. Brian O'Driscoll last week, really, really great. I don't know, I've got a personal relationship there, but just great to have him on, and Brian Moore as well. And I've always found it fascinating to hear that male perspective. I think generally the view was that men could do quite a bit more.
Yeah, no, I think, there's been a few male allies that are definitely coming out and wanting to support the women's game more so. And, Brian O'Driscoll's I've been a massive fan of him since God knows when, and for a lot of listeners as well, I'm sure. And to have someone of kind of that magnitude to say, come on, we can do more. And I think, naturally it's probably, and this is what I like about it, that it's sincere and it's genuine. He's got a young girl and he recognises that actually, if I want her to have opportunities and to be everything that she wants to be, then I've got to play a role in helping her get there. And I think, that's what's so lovely and organic about it, is the fact that men who had young daughters are starting to recognise that actually I need to do something. And even if men don't have daughters, but, a sister, a mother, a wife, seeing it for them as well. And I think that's what's so brilliant about it. But I'll tell you a funny story about that. So Gerard Mullin, obviously he's Irish, sent me a message going, oh, you had Bod on the podcast. That's amazing. He's like my idol. I was like, oh, he mentioned you. He talked about you. Got him good. He was like, no way, I've made it. He's my hero. And I was like, no, he didn't.
Oh, you're mean.
Got him 1-0.
Oh. but again, I utterly flattered, by messages like that. Jared doesn't have to listen to the pod. He's championship winning coach. And I think very, very humbled of even the last couple of days actually. Had a couple of people starting in the DMs and just saying thank you very, very much for the voice that we give the women's game. And it's we do it because we want to do it, and there's a massive gap for it. But it does take time, does take energy, and it does take a lot of effort. And to get little messages, Adrian was one of them. I know James at Saracen sent really, really nice messages. So it's hugely appreciated. No, enjoyed having Bod on. He's my best lookalike. The lady from the Crankies or the boy from the Crankies is not my favourite lookalike. Jack Black's not great, but I'll take a lookalike for Bod. But speaking of inspiring people, Jared, inspired by having Brian O'Driscoll on. As you say, I love the energy of someone like Lisa Burgess, Marlene Pack. I love her passion, Mummy Marla. But I tell you one lady who just, we said let's have a little look back and think about the people that have just hit a chord with us this season. And I'll go back to this was in January, our live pod during lockdown, which is a cracking event. And I was utterly inspired, as were many people, by All Sport Lindsay Peat.
I mentioned there just we introduced you. Just what unbelievable life, the journey you've been on. in particular, obviously tonight we're focusing on the sporting journey that you've been on, the football, or should I say soccer, probably, the Gaelic football, the basketball. Why rugby, and why have you stuck with it?
Funny old story. Over here in Ireland, when you play GAA, it's your parish, so it's your local community. So that's my club. So it's the area where I'm born and raised. And we were moving house just after we got married. We were only meant to move in for 6 months, but it ended up we're still here. So Dublin is divided into north side and south side. And I'm a very proud north sider, which rugby isn't very prevalent over that side. It would be a lot more popular within the schools on the south side. So I always wanted to try it. I really, got the itch after. Obviously, the girls did unbelievable in 2014, the Irish girls, and got to the semi-final. And I remember rushing home from work and watched them defeat New Zealand, and then watched them against that great English team in the semi-final. And it really got the itch. So I always wanted to try it, and I could never use my physicality in basketball, which is meant to be non-contact, and certainly ladies GAA is not contact either. So I used to referees were my best friends for the wrong reasons. So yeah, when I moved to the other side of the city, I didn't want to betray my roots. I didn't want to move GAA, I didn't want to move basketball club. So I said I'd give rugby a try, and off I went down to Railway Union.
And the rest is history. It's great, Lindsay. Really, really enjoyed her company. What inspirational lady. She's now 67 years of age, and but she just turned 40. I mean, you've got years to go, Burf.
Oh, look, I do genuinely love the fact that she fights against all the odds, and like we put these odds on ourselves and these limitations, and she just goes, well, I'm not gonna bow down to that or take that as what dictates what I do. And I just love that kind of attitude from her. And she has this unbelievable work ethic to be the best that she can be. And that's ultimately why she is 40 and still is playing the way that she does, and is, breaking down barriers for women. And I think, we talk all the time about getting young girls in the game, and we want that. Of course we do. But she also shows you can pick up a rugby ball at any point and you can carry on playing in your 40s. Because look, I can. And I think, we yes, of course, inspire the next generation, but there's also a generation that is not tapped into yet. And I think she flies that flag for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was, I can't remember the club now, remiss of me, but a few clubs come across the old brain box during the season. But yeah, they were advertising for women who just wanted to pick up the game at whatever age, and more sort of senior type players. And absolutely, you're never too old. There's women playing well beyond their 40s. So yeah, absolutely. I certainly love Lindsay Peat. And the other thing that came out of that for me is she's having to smash those barriers down. And you've spoken about smashing barriers down there yourself. If you're a rugby fan, rugby is rugby. It's not gender specific. If you've got a chance to break a barrier down or just step on it to let someone jump over, then do that. It's a responsibility of every rugby fan, and not just the likes of Sarah Orchard and Ali Donnelly and Scrumqueeze and us here. It's a responsibility of every rugby fan. And if you get a chance, whatever it may be, however small it is, do that. If you're a men's player at a rugby club and there's a women's side, go do a training session with them. Go down and have a beer and watch them to show your support. Whatever you can do, then do it. There shouldn't be so many barriers. Look at me ranting again, Beth. Well, it wouldn't be a pod.
Exactly. I was waiting for when that was coming in. That was quite a calm one, though.
Well, yeah, it is calm.
Just stop there. Let's go.
Is what I really wanted to say. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, any other highlights?
Any other highlights? Just seeing you every week, Johnny. No, but I love doing the live pods.
Thanks, Pinocchio. Now carry on.
I love the live pods. I think, it was incredible to see the enormous amount of support and, seeing people's faces when we did the first one on that Zoom, and then the production line, how that's all changed now. I think the team behind WRP now has done amazing work to get it to where it is. I'm really grateful to them. But yeah, just I think, you know, also hearing from, you know, parts of the world that you just don't maybe expect there to be rugby or what's going on. And I think it's just really inspiring to hear all of those. And I think, you know, going down South Africa and seeing the developments and movements that they're doing now, I think is outstanding. And you can just see that, you know, the tides are changing everywhere and people are getting on board with stuff. And I think South Africa have done that remarkably well with Lynn Campbell getting in there and, you know, all her wealth and experience and just she's a woman that if she doesn't know or she hasn't got the knowledge in her, she goes after it and goes and finds out and then takes it into her own environment. And I think she's done that so quickly, all remotely from London as well. She hasn't even had the chance to get out there yet. For those of you who don't know, she's now the new high performance women's manager. But yeah, she's been doing all this from her hometown. No, it's not actually her hometown. She's Irish, but she's from London. So hopefully she'll be able to get out there soon, which is quite scary what she might be able to do when she's actually on the ground.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know she's back here. She's Southwest London, isn't she? But wow, yeah, indeed. And, you know, on all those games being broadcast as we speak at the moment. For that, the Women's League going on. Another highlight for me was chatting with Wendy.
Yeah,
YSC, just unbelievable passion.
She's like the scrum queens, isn't she, of USA?
Yeah, over the other side of the pond. Yeah, absolutely. Her passion and her roundups every week are unbelievably awesome. So yeah, keep big shout out to Wendy. Keep up the great work. Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent roundup, isn't it, Burf?
I think maybe touching on sevens, like how they've had such a difficult year around the world and now it's finally getting up and running again, is great to see. And, you know, hopefully we'll see the World Series come back and return. But obviously we've got the Olympics literally in a couple of months and, you know, can't wait to see how that plays out. And it's so great to see kind of Team GB have now sorted themselves out and they've got some funding and the players are playing and training together. But yeah, like that's been a whirlwind of a season for all countries around the world. You know, Australia and New Zealand only just played each other a couple of weeks ago. So the amount of games that they haven't been able to play in has been, you know, disappointing for them, I'm sure. But great to see that that's now up and running. Obviously at the Euros at the weekend, seeing, you mentioned it earlier, like the teams that you just, you know, never expected to see being playing, to hear them back out on the pitch. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good news story in the end from the Sevens team, wasn't it? To Together Funding and the National Lottery. Fair play to you. You mentioned the Sevens there, Burf. That sort of moves us seamlessly into the latest news, which we, of course, must bring you.
Hi, I'm Bill Beaumont, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Yep, absolutely. So let's look at the Rugby Euro Sevens Championship in round 1 in Lisbon. Russia took the gold, having beaten Portugal 49-0, Belgium 38-0, and Spain 24-5 in the final. So pretty comprehensive wins there. Some great tries throughout the tournament. Scotland came 5th, Wales 8th. Russia only conceded 1 try all tournament, whilst Israel took the conference title in Belgrade, defeating second seed Austria in the final game 14-10 with a try for the final play. Both countries have now been promoted to the Rugby Europe Sevens Championship, 3rd tier, to the European Trophy, 2nd tier. And this was the first ever tournament win for Israel. Great scenes at the end, seeing them celebrating.
Awesome. It was
amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Also to note, Monaco made their Sevens debut in the tournament, the 143rd country to do so, and they also won their first ever game 28-0 against Latvia.
Latvia against Monaco. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it?
I know, it's so good.
And if you want to get inspired, go on the Rugby Europe website and have a look at those teams that were playing in the Sevens of the weekend. Men or women, matters not to us. But just some unbelievable countries. You just think, my God, they're playing rugby as well. Over in Dublin, more sevens at the weekend. The HPC International Sevens between Ireland Women 1 and Ireland Women 2 and GB. On day one, there are 5 games to play, with GB winning 3 from 4. Ireland 1 winning 2 from 3. And on day 2, there were 3 games between Ireland and GB, where Ireland won 2. Emily Murphy-Crowe impressed throughout. You watch some of that?
I only got to see a couple of it, but Ireland 1 looked very, very good. Just really clinical, looked after possession, ferocious in the contact area. I definitely think that was a step up from what we saw them when they came to St George's a couple of weeks ago now, a month ago. Yeah.
What day is it?
Comes thick and fast. As soon as you get up and running, you can't keep up.
Indeedy so. More sevens from the other side of the pond. The Collegiate Rugby Championship Sevens taking place over there. Sativa Tirupikurua was voted MVP. Apologies if not pronounced that correctly. No doubt someone will get in touch. Lindenwood University were champions, with Life University in second and Wayne State College in third.
And Zambia won the Battle of the Zambezi series 2-0 against Zimbabwe, claiming a 31-22 win on the 2nd of June before a 38-17 win on the 5th of June. Both games were close. Some very exciting and expansive rugby were played. Fantastic to see the return of rugby in Southern Africa. Though these weren't deemed as a test match, but all more so for seeing rugby being played down there.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome. And I have been in contact with a lady in Uganda who's, name escapes me at the minute. But we're going to have her on the pod very, very soon in the new year. In the new season. That's not even the new year. Koyo. Been in touch with her on Twitter. We're just not quite sure that the technical abilities to be able to get her on, but certainly want to get her on beginning of the season. I think Cantwell's one we've just got to get on as well, isn't it? But France still continuing with their league, the Elite 1 Feminine. The semi-finals are this weekend. ASM Roguenard against Montpellier, and Blagnac Sporting Club Rugby against Stade Toulousien. We will have to obviously bring you those results when we return. That's about it for this episode of Series Beth. No, let's have a couple of shout outs.
Yeah, just a shout out to Leah Barrard. We think that's how you say your name. Your rugby career that spanned over 20 years. It's her 14th year as professional referee. Impressively, Leah was the first woman to referee in a men's professional rugby competition anywhere in the world, and is still the only American to referee a Rugby World Cup final. Now turned her hand to refereeing American football.
How good's that?
Pretty impressive, eh?
Yeah, awesome. Good for you, Leah. Is that what they do?
That's touchdown, isn't it?
That's Australian rules. But
they do that in American football. I'm sure they do.
For those of you just listening, we're seeing some sort of bizarre hand movement.
I'm going to do that right now.
I think I've seen her do that on the dance floor before as well. She's trying to do an impression. Now, all I remember from watching a bit of American football live was little hankies being thrown on the field.
Little what? Hankies?
Yeah. Flags or something. It's like some sort of Morris dance from officials on the side. Yeah, they throw flags on if they've seen something. Yeah.
I've just checked online. That is correct.
Is it?
It's actually hands like that, not fingers.
Aussie rules is like that, isn't it? Sort of arms up. And then one down if they've got down the side post.
Who comes up with these things?
I mean, this is brilliant for our listeners.
Well, look, you need to be watching the pod as well. There you go.
Yeah, indeed.
See what we're up to. But who
What?
does come up with these signals?
I don't know. I don't know. If somebody knows out there,
Yeah.
no, do you know what? No, please don't tell us. But you're going to have quite a lot of time recuperating.
Oh, yeah, I meant to have a switch
You
off.
can research. Well, researching how referees got their arm gestures.
Okay, if anybody does know, part of my research is asking now. If you know,
No, don't.
get in
Let's
touch.
not do it. We're gonna hold you to it. Like you're speaking French and reading more books, we're gonna hold you to these things.
I've read more books, thank you.
Good. Listened or read?
Both.
Good.
Read and listen.
Parlez-vous français?
Oui.
Mais non.
Au revoir.
You know that means goodbye, yeah?
Yep.
You meant that.
We're wrapping up, see?
Awesome. Right, so you've added au revoir to your repertoire. Excellent. That's an excellent year's work. The last shout out of the series has to go to New Zealand. Dr. Farah Palmer, the former Blackburns captain. Yeah, we should have announced this a couple of weeks ago. But she's also the first woman on the board of directors for New Zealand Rugby. Has been named the deputy chair of the union. Again, another step forward. We've seen advances like that in Wales. Obviously, Sue Day doing awesome stuff at the WRP in Canada as well. So yeah, some good stuff going down in New Zealand. I guess it's a few thank yous, really, isn't it? And congratulations. Congratulations to Harlequins. Don't know who the French winner is at the moment. Don't know who's won over in South Africa in that league. Congratulations to England for winning the Six Nations. Who else has won stuff? Hasn't been much other rugby, has there, really? That's concluded anyway.
No, yeah.
Good luck to everyone in Tokyo. We are working on some plans to bring you a little bit of coverage of that here on the pod. So do keep your eyes across our socials. And of course, a massive year next year with the World Cup culminating. Still contacting Jacinda Ardern, trying to get her on the pod. But yeah, really exciting. We've got some really exciting plans as well, which are already in place for next season. So yes, the pod will be coming at you slightly differently next season, but as I say, some really exciting stuff. Anyone you want to thank Rachel Burford?
I just think to all of our listeners, most importantly, who turn up week in, week out and listen to us and give us some feedback and give us the stars that really do make a difference. And the messages, on Twitter and Instagram. We know we've got a lot of really loyal fans supporting us and what we do. And yeah, so I think the biggest thank you goes out to all of them from me.
100%. I was to say thank you to some of our partners through this season, Rugby Coffee, and Allianz, of course, for supporting us on our couple of live shows. Some other big conversations happening in that space as well. So a couple of companies fronting up, or at least answering emails. So that's a start, I guess. Yeah. I'd like to thank the team. We put it out there, didn't we? Needed a bit of help to get the pod and to push it to new levels. Rugby Up, thank you very much for your continued support. To Tom, Harry, unbelievable graphics that Harry's pumping out multiple times a week. Thank you very much to Jenny, to Emerson, and a big old thank you to Sean for putting all the YouTube and stuff together as well. Yeah, huge thank you to all of them, and a big old thank you to you, Burf, because it's not the easiest thing. You're still playing against your friends and people that you shared an English shirt with, and to come on and be as honest and frank as you are. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, Johnny, and you make it so easy. The way that you allow the podcast to flow and to bring up the right stories, and the way that we are bringing news. The fact that people use this podcast as fact finding for their jobs is incredible. So, and that's heavily down to your scripting and your flow of the show that's going on. So well done to you and all your contributions to women's rugby, and especially the podcast, because I know that it's very time consuming. But listen, so many of us are grateful for it, especially all our listeners. So big thank you from me, but also from all our listeners as well.
Thank you very much.
Quick cut.
Oh, I hate goodbyes. No, look, guys, if get in touch as ever. Let us know. Let us know what your highlights have been of the season.
And let us know who makes referee signals.
No, first do that by herself.
That's research. You ask people.
No, you do it yourself. No, look, she's on her phone already. Yeah, who your favourite guests have been, who your favourite episodes have been, who's your favourite quotes, who's inspired you, who's not. Just let us know what you're up to over the summer. As we say, you may well be bringing something around the Olympics, which would be really, really fun. At Pod Women's Rugby, as ever, across the socials, Insta, Twitter. We're on YouTube, of course, LinkedIn, Facebook as well. And of course, why not get some stashing? It's good stuff. Fergus is yet to send us any bits and pieces. Come on, Fergus, do sharpen up. But no, yeah, big thank you to Fergus Farrell at Hallbro. And the shop is there, www.hallbro.com/WRP to get your stash. But that's it then, Burf. All the very, very best tomorrow. You won't need it, obviously. But yeah, enjoy that 3 or 4 seconds when you're just going under. Always
That's the bit I'm looking forward to. Countdown from 10. 8, gone.
All the very, very best.
Thank you.
And no doubt we will speak. But yeah, in terms of this season, awesome stuff. Thank you very much. And we will see you very, very soon.
Until next time.
I hope you're right.
Get Johnny a tissue, someone.